Kevin Marsh paid off his credit card in 2018. Then he did it again in 2020. Then a third time in 2022. The balance always came back. Same amount, give or take, sometimes less, usually more. He'd get it to zero, or close enough that it felt like zero, and something would happen. A slow month at the shop, his daughter's school trip, tires on the truck, something. And the card would start climbing again. By the time he was 39, he had paid off his credit card, approximately, 3 times, and he still owed $11,400. This is the story of how Kevin figured out he wasn't losing the fight with the balance. He was losing the fight with the rate. Kevin had been in HVAC for 17 years. Started as a helper out of high school, got his journeyman's license at 24, went independent contractor for a stretch, then settled in with a commercial outfit in Columbus that did office buildings and apartment complexes. Steady work, good benefits. $64,000 last year, the most he'd ever made in his life. He and his wife Dana had 2 kids, a daughter in 6th grade and a son just starting elementary school. They rented a 2-bedroom in Westerville, $1,450 a month. They talked about buying, but the conversation always stalled around the down payment. It never seemed like the right time. Kevin wasn't bad with money, that's what made this harder. He had a 401k. He was enrolled, contributing 4%, enough to get the company match, which he'd read was the smart thing to do. He had a checking account and a savings account. He didn't gamble, he didn't drink much. He wasn't making $200 takeout orders on a Wednesday night. But he had 2 credit cards, and he'd had them for a long time, and the balances had a way of not going away. His minimum payments came to $304 a month. He usually paid $320, sometimes $350 if it was a good month. He figured he was staying on top of it. He wasn't. The real enemy wasn't the $11,400. Most people in Kevin's situation stared at the balance. They tracked the balance. They celebrated when the balance went down $200. But the balance wasn't the thing that was eating him. The rate was. On the Discover card alone, $7,200 at 23.99144 in new charges every single month. Before Kevin paid $1 toward it, before he swiped it once, just sitting there, the card was costing him $144 a month to own. The Home Depot card added another $94. That's $238 a month in interest alone. Kevin was paying $320 a month toward his debt. The interest was consuming $238 of it. At that pace, it would take him 11.5 years to pay it off. He'd be 50. Over that 11 years, he'd pay roughly $9,700 in interest alone, on debt he'd already spent, on things he already owned, or already ate, or already forgot about. That's more than he'd put into his 401k last year. He didn't know any of this, he just knew the balance wasn't moving. Kevin's card had started with a water heater. Back in 2016, the house they were renting at the time had a unit that failed in February. The landlord was slow. Kevin bought a portable space heater on the Discover card, then a few nights at a hotel while they sorted it out, then some groceries because the trip to the hotel had thrown off the week's budget, about $600. He paid it off by summer. Then the following year, his truck needed brakes. He put it on the card, $780, because payday was 2 weeks out and he needed the truck for work. He paid it off over 3 months. Reasonable. Each time. The problem was what happened between the reasonable decisions. Every month, there was something. The card was there. It had a limit. The limit made the decision easier. He wasn't spending recklessly. He was using the card the way people use the card, when they don't have a buffer. When something costs more than you have on hand, you bridge the gap with plastic, and you deal with it later. The problem was, later kept not coming. By 2018, the balance had crept to $4,100. He did a push cutback, paid an extra $200 a month, got it to zero in about 14 months. He remembered how that felt. He took Dana out to dinner the night he paid it off. Then the car needed tires. Then his daughter's school started charging for extracurriculars. Then there was the layoff scare at the shop. It didn't happen to him, but it happened to 2 guys he worked with, and for 4 months he held his breath and didn't want to drain the savings account. By the end of 2020, the card was back to $4,700. He paid it off again. 11 months. By 2022, it was $6,300. He got it down to $4,100. And then the Home Depot card hit. They'd needed a new washer. They'd needed new windows. The apartment was drafty, and the landlord said it wasn't their problem. Kevin bought weather seal, caulk, a door sweep, then a storm door. Then they decided to finally replace the kitchen faucet that had been dripping for 2 years. $4,200 across 3 months. Now he had 2 cards. In the spring of 2023, Kevin's daughter Mia came home with a permission slip for a 6th grade Washington, D.C. trip. $680, due in 3 installments over 6 months. Kevin signed it without much discussion. Mia had never been on a school trip. That same spring, his company changed health insurance providers. The premium stayed the same. The deductible didn't. It jumped from $1,200 to $2,400. Kevin barely noticed. Not until June, when his son needed stitches after a bicycle accident. The bill came to $1,900. The insurance covered $400 of it. Kevin put $1,500 on the Discover card. Most people would look at Kevin's situation and say he had a spending problem. He didn't. He had a buffer problem. Every financial emergency had to be solved with plastic because there was nothing between him and the floor. He wasn't overspending. He was under liquid. The difference matters because the solution is completely different. But Kevin didn't see it that way yet. He saw a balance that wouldn't go away no matter how hard he tried. And he was tired. Not the kind of tired that makes a person angry. The kind of tired that makes a person stop looking. By November of 2023, the Discover card was back up to $7,200. The Home Depot card hadn't moved. He was paying $304 in minimums and telling himself he'd deal with it after the holidays. What happened in January, the thing that finally changed everything, had nothing to do with willpower or discipline. It had to do with a number he'd never looked at before. Dana asked him about the cards in January, not angry. She wasn't a confrontational person. She just said it plainly one Sunday morning while the kids were still asleep. "We're not getting anywhere, are we?" It wasn't a question. Kevin was sitting at the kitchen table with his coffee. He had the statements open on his phone, something he'd been doing more recently just to keep an eye on them. He didn't answer right away. "The minimums are $1,200 behind what I thought," he said finally. He meant the year. He'd added up what he'd paid over 12 months. $3,840 in minimum and slightly above minimum payments. He'd thought the balance would be noticeably lower. He'd expected $7,000 maybe, something that felt like progress. The Discover card was at $7,200. It had been at $6,900 in January of the previous year. He'd paid $3,840 and the balance had gone up. Dana took the phone from him and looked at the number for a moment. "What's the rate on this one?" he told her. She put the phone face down on the table. Kevin had never been irresponsible. He'd never missed a payment. He'd never bought anything he thought they truly couldn't afford. He'd just spent 12 years making it easier for a machine to run. The minimum payment said, "Don't worry about it." And he'd listened every month for 12 years. The number that changed things wasn't the balance. It was $238. Kevin's brother-in-law worked at a credit union in Dayton. Not a financial advisor, just a guy who processed loans. They talked at a family thing in February and Kevin mentioned the cards. Half as a complaint, half as a question. His brother-in-law asked what he was paying in minimums. Kevin told him $320 a month, give or take. His brother-in-law pulled out his phone and ran the numbers, roughly, quickly, just to show him. At $320 a month, $238 of it was vanishing into interest before it touched the principal, which meant Kevin was paying $82 a month on $11,400 worth of debt. "You're not paying down debt," his brother-in-law said. "You're renting it." Kevin didn't say much on the drive home. He and Dana talked that night after the kids were in bed. They made a list, actual income, actual expenses, everything written down. They hadn't done that before. Kevin had a general sense of what came in and what went out, but he'd never actually written it down and looked at it in the same place at the same time. When they were done, there was $580 a month that wasn't accounted for. Not savings, just money that was leaving without a clear destination, subscriptions, lunches at the shop, small things, the invisible spending that happens when you're not watching. They picked a number, $550 a month toward the cards. The avalanche method, which his brother-in-law had walked him through. Start with the highest rate card first. Put every extra dollar there while making minimums on the other. The Home Depot card, 26.99% APR, $4,200. At $550 a month, that card would be gone in 8 months. Kevin had expected to hear a much longer timeline. He'd expected the math to be depressing. Instead, 8 months sounded close. 8 months sounded possible. He made the first payment that week, $550. The balance went to $3,720. He watched it for a few minutes. Then he closed the app and went to bed. March, April, May. The Home Depot card dropped to $3,170. Then $2,600, then $2,010. In May, Kevin's truck needed brake pads again, $340. He'd budgeted for it. This time, he'd put $50 a month into a separate savings envelope marked truck every month since February. He paid cash. The card didn't move. That was new. A small thing, but new. In June, the company offered overtime. Kevin took every hour they'd give him. He was putting in 12-hour days in 90-degree weather, commercial HVAC work in summer, the units running constantly, the rooftop installs brutal. He came home exhausted, but in June he put $900 toward the Home Depot card. The balance hit $1,100. He was going to pay it off in July. He paid it off on July 14th, a Tuesday. He was in his truck in the company lot, still in his work clothes, the phone hot in his hand in the sun. He made the payment. The balance went to $0. He didn't take Dana out to dinner this time, because this time, he wasn't done. He took the $550 every dollar of it and pointed it at the Discover card. He also kept his small truck fund, and the 50 buffer he and Dana had quietly started adding each month to their savings account. The Discover card got $550. By October, the Discover card was at $4,900. He'd knocked it down $2,300 in 3 months. Kevin still had work to do. The Discover card stood at $4,900 in November when he sat down to write out the numbers again. At $550 a month, he had about 9 months left. He'd be done by the following August. The number he kept coming back to wasn't $4,900. It was $238. That was the number his brother-in-law had circled. The amount interest was taking every month before Kevin got to touch it. For 12 years, that machine had been running in the background. He'd been working overtime for a decade, and a piece of every paycheck had been going directly to a rate he'd never bothered to read. He wasn't angry about it. There wasn't enough energy left in him for anger. What he felt instead was something simpler. He finally knew where the money was going. The cards hadn't beaten him because he was undisciplined. They'd beaten him because he'd been fighting the balance when the fight was with the rate. You can't win a fight you haven't identified. The shame he'd felt in that kitchen in January was starting to loosen. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The one that comes from never being able to explain why you're not further along. Not because the debt was gone, because the avoidance was. Most people don't have a balance problem. They have a looking problem. The balance will do what it does. The rate will do what it does. But the looking, that part you control.